we go. Welcome back. Power Performance Podcast, episode 9. We're here with Phil Gauthier. He is part owner of Element 26, essentially a clothing equipment brand in the CrossFit space, but not only the CrossFit space, but I would say just lifting in general, Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, all of that in between. Phil, how we doing?
Good, Scott. How are you?
I'm good. So Phil and me, actually, we kind of met over social media because Element 26 is a company that does a lot on social media. I see a lot of your guys' posts and a lot of your branding and marketing, things like that. So how's everything been with COVID and kind of over kicking into 2021?
Yeah. COVID was an obstacle on its own, but 2021's been going ever since, I guess, the end of, say, fourth quarter last year. Element's been crushing it. We've been doing pretty well. So
Awesome, man.
Up to the point where I've actually gone full time on Element over the last month. So
congratulations.
Thank you. This has been something that's been in the works for 3 years.
All right.
So,
well, when you say that, when was Element created?
So me and my business partner, Jason, founded the company in 2017. So Jason was a former Army veteran, and I was a physical therapist. So I still am a physical therapist. And we started 2017, and we honestly had no idea where we were going with it. Jason just came to me with this idea. He's like, "Hey, Phil, I want to launch a product on Amazon. It could be some extra revenue. I kind of want to see you be the face of the company because you're a physical therapist. You can give knowledge to people. You can help them out." And I was like, "Sure, let's do it." So, he did the searching and he looked for the right keywords for what was searching the most in terms of fitness and something that would connect with physical therapy in my background. And he settled on a weight belt, sent me some samples. And ever since then, we launched our first weight belt in 2017, September. And ever since then, we've been doing pretty well and trying to launch more and more products over the years.
Awesome. Now, that was my first question. Was the weight belt, was that the start? Was that the first product?
That was. The weight belt was.
Awesome.
And it's been, the weight belt's still killing it.
Oh, yeah.
Weight belt easily makes the majority of our sales.
I mean, in the class I just coached, I think there was 2 of them. I mean, they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere.
Yeah. And I have a huge connection in Massachusetts too. So I've been to a lot of competitions. So a lot of people have won belts and they know other people who have them. So word of mouth is huge, especially for our marketing.
Yeah. So it started with the company first. So started in weight belts. And then was it a slow and steady progression, like selling them like essentially to the boxes around you? And then, I mean, you guys are global now, I think, right?
Yeah, well, we're global through Amazon. So we sell on other Amazon sales channels like the UK, and we want to launch in Japan. We do some Spain, Germany. Those listings have to get more optimized. But yeah, we are global. But we started on Amazon US. So literally just, throw a belt out there, you're on like page 12.
Yeah.
You get like one sale a day. And then, you start improving the ranking, but you need the reviews and you need to get the word of mouth out. So, you go to competitions, you go around the area. When we first launched, I wasn't really in terms of pushing the belts at competition. I'm not looking for sales. I'm just looking for people to get to know the athletes, get to know the people, and really settle into the space.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I mean, honestly, when we first started, it wasn't even about CrossFit. It was just about like getting the product out, selling it on Amazon, until we realized and I'm a former powerlifter. So, and I personally didn't like the leather belts, which is kind of why I was really happy about the nylon belt we have with the self-locking buckle. And for those who don't know about our belt, it has a self-locking buckle. So essentially is a pin within a, how do you say it? Like a rectangle is a rectangle metal piece, and then there's a sliding pin in the middle of it. So you take the strap, you put it through the buckle, you put it through the sliding pin, and essentially, it's better if I could show this through a video, but essentially the Velcro is held together in place.
Yeah.
Or the
because
strap
one of
is
the
held
issues
together.
with some nylon belts is they'll unstrap or they'll come loose, essentially.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was our purpose with doing this. So we're solving that problem of the Velcro popping open. So basically, long story short, you go to these competitions just to provide education and meet the people in the field. And me, with my powerlifting background, I didn't want something that was leather. I was very happy with this belt and it could hold up to the workouts. But we realized that a lot of CrossFitters actually prefer this belt. They loved it. So we're like, okay, we're just going to go down to CrossFit. We're going to go down to functional fitness.
Yeah. Now, would you guys deem CrossFit as your space where Element really excels in like sales, for example?
Yeah. So whenever we produce content, because I'm basically the one who does all the content for our team. Jason does all the sales and the finances and all that stuff. It's all about CrossFit and functional fitness first. Like that's the number one audience we're targeting. Yeah. We don't want to get too distracted going down powerlifting, bodybuilding, Olympic weightlifting. We're dabbling in. We have a couple influencers we're in touch with right now that we're trying to get on board, but we're not heavy with that yet.
Yeah. But I mean, there's probably some people out there that use the belt when they're powerlifting or things like that. But your market space is CrossFit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's a ton of them. But we don't want to get so diluted across the board that we start losing track of who that person is that we're serving. Who is the number one person?
Yep. I love what you mentioned earlier. I love what you mentioned earlier when you said you wanted to get the brand out there and you just wanted to kind of be known and get involved with the athletes, things like that. Because as you know, in CrossFit, it's all about community and kind of being trustworthy within one another and holding that trust. And when the trust is broken, right, then there's problems. But if people can trust you in the company, that's where you start to really excel.
That leads me to another point. Like I literally did CrossFit. I signed up for CrossFit Gym, did it for a solid year from I'd say 2019 actually through 2020. And my reasoning for that was to get closer to the community. Yeah. And then get the lingo down, understand what they're going through. Now I still do that. I still do like an approach to CrossFit. It's just it's more like an elite level CrossFit athlete who structures all their weightlifting on certain days, their metcons in a certain fashion. So I have a good friend of mine that I've hired out, and he writes all my programming now. Nice. But I literally went through the whole process of trying to connect myself to the CrossFit athlete by going through it myself. And Jason does it now too. Jason's doing his CrossFit. He lives down in Florida. It's a lot hotter and more humid down there, but
what'd you think?
He's surviving. What'd you say?
What'd you think of the CrossFit space?
Oh, CrossFit.
I love hearing people's stories when they get into it.
So, I mean, I kind of know what to expect going into it. In terms of traditional, I guess I didn't understand how they'd structured the strength and Metcon activities. Yep. But I knew it was going to be it was going to be these are going to be hard workouts. Like the coaches, they push you intentionally because they want you to be your best. So you have to, as long as I have that mindset going into it, you're going to understand how it works. And if you understand how it works, you can excel at it. So I structured, basically, I knew kind of what was coming in the sessions. There's variability within each individual session, but I knew it was going to be like these are going to be hard sessions. So I did about four a week, I believe. Yeah. Which gave me actually pretty good recovery. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. No, it is good. As a coach, right. I kind of chuckled a little bit in my head when you talk about how the coaches push you intentionally. But really what we're doing is we're just trying to make everyone like just a little bit better. Like I say, there's an athlete inside of everybody. And if we can just pull that out a little bit every day and let you strive, or like, for example, it just push you a little bit closer or nudge you a little bit higher in weight, things like that. We do that over 365, right? That's 365% better. Yeah. That's all we really look for. Well, that's in any space. I mean, I went to school for kinesiology and strength and conditioning. That's my college background. Same here. And then I found kind of CrossFit just out of nowhere, essentially. But I've had strength and conditioning coaches on here, and that's all really anyone in the space is trying to do. Just trying to make their client or their clientele just 1% better. Teach them one thing. They can leave the gym knowing one thing more, then it's a successful day. Exactly. You know, and
Um,
I guess I had an edge over some people just because of my background, similar to yours, of strength conditioning and physical therapy. Like I
yeah,
kind of I knew how to like work around certain issues and things. Like some people who don't like CrossFit are just they're I guess they have different expectations. So they're
yeah,
expecting they're they don't like to push themselves as hard necessarily. And I had that edge in terms of knowing like, okay, we're going to push ourselves hard, but I can also control how hard we go at certain times, or just decide how many times I want to go a week in order to moderate that volume.
yeah,
So I'm someone who likes to think and look at all these different variables. So that helped me a ton.
yeah.
And some people just can get so overwhelmed that they shut down. And it's very difficult as a coach, especially when you're teaching a group of athletes, like
Oh yeah. Well, I try
trying
and
to
tell
keep them
everyone,
all motivated.
yeah,
Exactly.
you're in control of the stimulus at all times, right?
Hmm.
You can control
Absolutely.
everything, right? The breakup strategies, as simple as breakup
Hmm.
strategies, but also like you don't need to. I tell everyone, like you probably have one, maybe two, like solid workouts, CrossFit workouts in you a week. And then the other two are just kind of streamline and go, right? You control the
Hmm.
stimulus, hit it about 80, maybe 80%, 75%, and just get a good workout in. And you might have one where
Exactly.
like, all right, this is the one I'm going to hammer hard. And then you might have another one where it's like, okay, this is kind of my wheelhouse. Like I can go 90% here and like really get some good benefit here. But other than that, like 4 times a week, just doing that, that's where it comes from,
Yeah.
essentially.
Hmm.
Now back to Element 26. Now, as you guys have come forward, it was 2017 you guys started?
Yes. Yes.
2017. Now coming forward to
Hmm.
2021, I was doing some research. You guys have a lot more equipment now. And I know I've actually worn a pair of your knee sleeves before. So you have knee
Nice.
sleeves, wrist straps, right?
Yeah, we have wrist wraps, we have grips, we have sleeves, we have belts, we have figure eight lifting straps.
Yep.
We have a patent pending product called the bar belts.
Is
And
that the
then
is that what holds the bar under the rig? Is that a barbell?
exactly,
Okay, that's what
exactly.
I
If you
was.
want to work on some.
I had a great question about that. Just kind of explaining what that is for
Mhm.
someone that like goes to your website and doesn't know what a bar belt is. I kind of knew what it was, but not really.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what you said. It basically holds the barbell to the barbell. So the bar belt holds the barbell to the rig
Yep.
So you can practice some like muscle up progressions.
Yep.
You can scale some pull ups,
Okay.
and you can set the barbell wherever your rig can go, and then it just basically safely and securely locks the barbell to the rack or the
Nice.
rig. Um, yeah, and we've had like, I don't know if you know Pam Gagnon. She's huge in the CrossFit gymnastic space, and
Yep.
she's been using our barbelts, which has been a huge help. And she's if anyone has any questions, they can visit. I think it's Pam Agnon as her Instagram, PAMAGNON, something like that. And then they'll find her. It'll pop right up. But she's got a lot of awesome exercises on there and
Yeah.
variations.
Yeah. Now let's talk about some of your
But
other equipment. I know
sure.
knee sleeves are pretty prevalent, especially when it comes to like, for example, just back squatting, front squatting at heavy loads.
Yeah. Hmm.
Wrist straps as well, right? For overhead press or
Hmm.
benching, all that
And the
stuff.
big thing with the big thing with all our products, so your knee sleeves or wrist wraps, everything is going to be different in some way or another.
Yeah.
Like we have to differentiate everything.
Yeah.
But
It's what makes your company what it is, right? You need to defer
exactly.
yourself.
We're trying to we're trying to take products that are, well, design the barbells from scratch, but we're trying to take other products that are already on the market that people already are using, and we're trying to make them even better.
Mhm.
So the grips are awesome. A rubber just sticks to a steel bar like crazy, no chalk required. The straps are 1 inch in thickness, so they can precisely focus on the smaller joints of your wrist, without restricting your mobility too much, because you need to have some sort of extension, which is the hand bending back in certain movements like push-ups or burpees or whatever. The figure eight lifting straps are, figure eight lifting straps. That would I say is the least differentiated product, but it's still different compared to a traditional lifting strap. Then you have, let me think. The knee sleeves, they're 6 millimeter thickness. So a lot of powerlifting sleeves will be 7 millimeter thickness. The sleeves are 6. because, a lot of runners will wear like a thinner sleeve, 4 to 5 millimeters, and a lot of powerlifters will wear the 7 millimeters. So we settled in between for the athlete that still needs to move around, but wants some stability in their heavier lifts like squats, cleans, snatches, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Now I had a question on the grips. We did a workout this morning here. That's chest to bar, muscle ups, and toes to bar. What makes the grip? What is a rubber grip? Can you explain that?
So basically, it's an isoprene polymer, which is a rubber. It's essentially rubber. So think of like straight up like a tire on asphalt, like in the summer. It's going to grip like crazy. That's essentially what happens with the grip on a steel barbell. Like you grab onto the barbell, you're gripping like crazy. Then we have a traditional wrist strap that goes around the back, and then we just have the rubber that literally just sits on the whole front of your hand. And we've recently actually just changed up the grip so it's rubber on both sides. So it's just a thin layer of rubber reinforced with some Kevlar in the middle of it. And then you basically can grab onto the bar. These ones, we've had some issues in the first few sets of grips. We've had so many iterations of these grips. People were, because it grips so well, you hang into the strap and you can actually rip it. But we also had the backside was kind of like a cloth material, so people would slide a little bit more. So we're continually improving these products, the grips especially, because we're trying to make them even better and better and better with every model that comes out.
Yeah. Do they have finger holes?
They have finger loops. So one has finger loops. There's two different variations. One has finger loops. You slide your fingers through the loops on the backside. You still have the grip on the front, because part of the problem is like we'll still rip with finger holes too, because your fingers are still grabbing onto the bar, or you get blood blisters in between your fingers. But these grips slide on the front of the hand, so they're still protecting the entire front part of your hand as it's contacting the bar. And then the rubber on the backside should help a lot with the extra grip.
Very nice. Very nice. Now let's talk a little bit about, like I said, I've seen your branding everywhere, and I know a bunch of people. I actually know a few people that you work with. Do you know the name Lindsay Gracias?
Yeah.
So I started at one of the gyms back in my hometown. She's kind of one of the owners of not kind of one of the owners. She is one of the owners of one of them. It was CrossFit Sturbridge and then CrossFit in 1977, I think.
1977 now, yeah.
So I saw a lot of your products. I think she wears them, I believe. And then there's another Kristen Burt. Or Krista Burt, maybe?
Crystal Burt.
Yep.
Crystal.
Her and Brian. Brian was actually the guy that on-ramped me into CrossFit. And I always saw him.
Really?
I saw him in Element gear too all the time. So they were kind of my introduction to like the Element weight belt, for example. Because I just didn't have any.
They're awesome.
I wasn't a gear guy when I first started, because obviously I wasn't very good. But then I think we were doing deadlifts one day, and he's like, put this belt on. Like, let me help your spine out a little bit. Because it was I think it was like a 1 rep mat. We were doing the total, I think. He's like, let me help you out. Throw this on, and you'll get a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're great. They're both in our Facebook group too. I got to get you in there.
Yeah, 100%.
Our private Facebook group.
100%. Now let's talk about when we see that. Let's talk about. Do you guys have? What do you have for athletes? Do you have like Element athletes? Who are they? Is Samuel Quant one? Did I see that?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. He's kind of a big face now.
Well, what's awesome is you give good deeds out into the world, it usually comes back. So that's kind of how we operate. And we send a lot of. I've sent a lot. I literally have email sequences with like hundreds of emails, and just helpful emails. It's not even like we sell products, but at the same time, we also, after you've already bought the product, if you're already engaged on our email list, we give you other helpful emails too along the way. So one of Sam's friends, friends back from his hometown, this guy named Ian actually was reading the emails, and he's like, "Hey, I love your emails. I know a guy who doesn't get the attention he deserves, and I'd love to put you in touch with him. His name's Sam Quant." This is probably last year, 2020, probably May, June.
Yeah.
And then ever since that, he gave us his email, and I hit him up, and we've been in touch ever since, and officially signed him as part of our team last October.
Yeah.
And Sam's been awesome, and he's super receptive. He's in our, our private little chat group that we have for Element 26. And, he gives feedback on all the gear. He's more than just like, he's amazing athlete, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, he made a big splash, which helps you guys.
We've worked with influencers that are just like, you pay them, but it's a pain in the butt to get in touch with them. They like not responsive. Like Sam's complete opposite, super responsive, super friendly. Always there if you need to ask him a question. He's actually in ADIC now as we speak.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did he move?
Training with CompTrain. Yep, he's training with CompTrain, just for 6 months. He'll be here till August. And then
Nice.
I'm actually gonna carve out some time next week to meet him in person finally,
Awesome.
and then give him some other gear and other stuff. So Sam's, yeah, he's definitely been a huge part of our team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I can't wait to go forward with him.
I mean, he made a great splash last year. I mean,
oh yeah,
especially when like you're saying,
perfect timing.
Yeah, right. Like for you guys, you're talking like, oh yeah, he came on in October, and then boom, just jumps on the scene, and I mean, makes the final five. And it's like, right, talk about perfect timing and like getting back to the company, right?
No, that was awesome.
Was he able? I don't know how. I'm not sure what the processes were at the games. Was he able to wear anything Element at the games?
I don't know if he did, because he literally, so we gave him gear like shortly before that. I don't believe he was wearing it because, and I told him this too, like, Sam, you've been using some other gear for a while now.
Yeah.
I don't want you changing it up just for this competition. And a lot of elite athletes are all going to be like that. Like, I'm not going to force them to change. Like, honestly, if it was me and I was competing, I'm not going to change my gear right before I compete.
I'm thinking like the total, like, I wonder. I wonder if he has a belt on.
Now he would.
Yeah, but I'm thinking
now he would.
Thinking myself too, like, he goes into the games, puts the belt on, and then it's like the Velcro breaks or something. You're like, oh no.
No, yeah.
It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
But no, he did great. But like you said, he's such an underrated. Even me, like I talk to a lot of people. I talk to a lot of coaches, and I have a lot of great connections, especially here in Massachusetts. And I mean, he just like you said, under the radar, just pops on the scene, is just consistent, right? Like the online stage of the games, he didn't like blow you out of the water or like do anything crazy or get up like multiple first place finishes, anything like that. It's just nice, steady, streamline, like in the top 10 the whole time.
Exactly.
And
that's how you win it. That's how you win at that sport,
Well, that's what he did at Aerobics too.
Yeah, Sam's been to the games. It's like that was like his 4th or 5th time. Yeah. But he's always finished pretty well. Yeah. Because he's just consistent. And he may have 1 or 2 events he's not really great at, but he'll have a bunch of others where he's. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened, but we're back. All right. Yeah, he's been to the games a bunch of times, like you were saying.
Yeah. He's been to the games a bunch of times. But yeah, I think I just mentioned that he actually won an event on his younger days when he was like 19 or 20. Which is crazy to think. Like he'll always be there, middle of the pack. He'll finish events in the middle of the pack. He'll also finish events higher up, and then he may have 1 or 2 events where he's not that great at, but he'll always average within that like top 10, which is crazy to think of at such a high level. Even on his off days, he'll still be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean he's like kind of like Scott. I don't know. Do you know who Scott Panchek is?
Yeah, actually, yeah. We're actually hopefully I think I have some connections with them trying our tape out. That's another product, by the way.
Nice. Yeah, no, they call him Mr. Consistency, where it's just like he'll never blow you out of the like he'll never blow your mind, but just top 10 finishes. That's all he focuses on. Top 10, top 12 finishes.
I know.
And that's it. So tape. Tell me about that. You just dropped another one on me.
Tape, yeah. Tape. So the tape's awesome. I don't know if you use a lot of hook grip, but it's amazing for hook grip. As long as you pull it tight enough and it's able to wrap around your hand a couple times, it's amazing. And the big difference there is it's not like it's designed to, it's like a cotton stretch kind of tape. So it actually contours to the bends in your fingers and thumbs. And the adhesive sticks really well where it's not going to come off if you're cycling a barbell. And then Yeah, and it actually grips the bar a little bit more too. So when you're actually doing those cycling and the hook
Yeah.
grip and all that stuff, it's working a lot more.
Very
So
nice.
sweat doesn't affect it at all.
Good. Now, as kind of like an owner of this company, and then you dabbled in some CrossFit too, just to kind of get the feeling of what everyone's going through. Did
Mhm.
you go through a kind of a testing period with all this equipment, testing it out yourself? Like,
I mean, all the gear gets tested before we release it too.
yeah,
Minus, obviously the first product, the belt, we just, as long as I approved of it, Jason released it. But all the other gear gets tested by the athletes. Myself, I usually, sometimes I'm not even the first person to see our new products.
yep,
It's usually like Sam, or it's like an elite athlete. Like, we'd rather have them try it out because they're a lot more better. They're better than me,
yeah, yeah.
honestly, and I
Fair
hate to
enough.
admit that.
Oh, well, fair enough.
you
I
know,
mean, they're at the
leave
top of
my
the
ego at the
sport.
door.
Yep.
But yeah, you give it to them, they test it out for a few months, and then once we get the green light from them, or we get any suggestions on changes, then we'll pump it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually eventually, like, I'll get certain things, and I'll be like, hey Jason, or Sam, whatever. I think we need. I don't really like this. What do you think about this? I mean, this is my mediocre CrossFit mind talking, but I don't think for example, I don't think the grip is gonna do so well with X population, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'll get things rolling in terms of that train of thought. But yeah, so
Awesome.
I do test the stuff out, but it just eventually trickles back
Yeah.
to me.
Now, is that how that? So I'm very intrigued with how the company branding, things like that work. How does,
Mhm.
for example, right? You send it out to them, right? Now, is that
Mhm.
just a feedback back and forth process, or and like having the trust in them, like Sam, like get it, like you're at the top of the sport, you're very
Exactly,
consistent,
exactly.
and then he's just like, hey man, it rubs this way, or the grip is folding to like the left side, and it's just like you immediately take that feedback and try and adapt it.
Pretty much, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's kind of how it
Exactly.
works.
Exactly. Exactly. You send the gear, you have them test it out for a few times. You get their feedback, then have them test it out some more, get some more feedback, and then we're like, okay, we need to put some other changes on this. And then we just, the part that sucks is reaching out to the manufacturer and then getting the manufacturer to change it and then making sure they put the right changes on there, which can sometimes can take a little longer than we like.
Yeah.
But end of the day, it's better to have a good product than something that we're just pushing out, because it costs a lot if we
Uh,
have to liquidate something or
yeah.
take something off the market or take it out of Amazon, and just then I got like 500 pieces of equipment sitting at my apartment.
Yeah,
Takes up
100%.
space, and my fiance gets pissed.
Yeah, 100%. I get it. Now
Yeah.
you say, I have another quick question for you. You say you used to go to a lot of competitions, things like that. Will you guys
Mhm.
make your way to any of the bigger competitions coming into 2021? For example, like I know like Wadapalooza kind of does like the equipment kind of like fair, things like that. Will you hit up
Mhm.
bigger stages like that?
Yeah, so last year was actually our first year at Wadapalooza as a team and having our own tent.
Oh,
So we
nice.
actually did have a tent last year at Wadapalooza, and then the year before I went to Wadapalooza just by myself, just to kind of see what it's like.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, Wadapalooza was awesome. That's the biggest one we've been to. We wanted to go to the Mid Atlantic last year,
Yep.
but unfortunately, COVID hit at the right time.
That's in
Um,
Washington, right? Washington,
yeah,
D.C.
yeah, Maryland. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I think it's right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Wadapalooza, I heard is unbelievable. I've never been. I need to
yeah,
make
it's
my way
awesome. It's
down.
awesome.
I heard it's
Yeah,
literally like a festival that just never ends, never sleeps for like 3 or 4 days.
I think it's like over the 3 day or 3 or 4 days, it's like 50,000, at least 75,000 people show up,
That's
so
unbelievable.
I know it's crazy. But
Unbelievable.
yeah, it's awesome. It's a great, always a great turnout. We collected a lot of emails, met a lot of cool people, um, and then got our gear out to some other athletes too, some other
Yeah.
big name athletes, and made some good connections. So that's always a win in our book.
100%.
Um, Yeah, no, it's it's draining though. Those 3 or 4 days, it's like you're
Oh,
constantly go 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 go.
yeah. I can
So,
imagine. I can only imagine. When
and
it
then you need
comes,
a break.
yeah, when it comes to, for example, guys like Sam, um, do you have anyone else out there in the space that, for example, like was in the games last year, or do you have any like you have any teams or anything like that? Do you sponsor like a whole team? Like what is out there for athletes for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we sponsor a ton of like teams and athletes and stuff, whether it's like RX or scaled. So we'll always do that. I don't think we have any other like big. Sam's the biggest like games athlete we have right now. I mean,
Yep.
there's a ton of like elite athletes like like Devin O'Neill or Lindsay or Christine Middleton and those ones are other athletes that have worn our gear that are part of the team.
Well, don't get me wrong either. Those guys are unbelievable. Like,
oh yeah,
to be the athletes they are, like they're
exactly
top 1, top 3% in the world. Like they're unreal.
No, they're amazing. And they've been a huge help to our team. They've been so amazing. But yeah, I think Sam's the biggest one. We've had a couple others in the past that we did sponsor. But they're no longer part of our team at this point just because of the contracts and all that specifics there.
Fair enough. Now going into 2021, with the kind of game season rolling around pretty close here, March 11th is when the Open for CrossFit Functional Fitness kind of kicks off. What do you guys have? Do you guys have any big plans like down the hole? Obviously, I mean, Sam's probably going to be competing, things like that. You probably have some other athletes competing. Do you have anything big for that or anything like that?
Honestly, we're just trying to, with me going full time, we're just trying to refine all our systems and processes right now. I mean, we have the Open in the back of our minds, where a lot of our content, especially with Morning Chalk Up, is all centered around the Open.
Yep.
In terms of, hitting these athletes at the right time, so our gear can maximally help their performance.
Yep.
We had a 3-day ad about, I want to say 2 weeks ago, which is a great time to have it right before the Open and really push the tape, the grips, and one other that I'm just missing out on right now. But yeah, we push those products hard just to hit people at the right time. I mean, that's the biggest thing we're doing right now. We're still like a smaller company, so it's not like we have a ton of firepower in terms of how much more we can do. But I'd love to eventually have like something that Element 26 is putting together, some like team Open kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we want to do. It's just, we got to have the little bit more firepower. And, with me going full time, it definitely helps, but it's still, we're still growing.
100%. And so let's talk a little bit more about you and just kind of your story. So have you've been with Element since 2017, since the beginnings, correct?
Yeah.
And then your process. So you were a physical therapist first?
Yeah, so I'm a licensed physical therapist in the state of Mass. So I worked from 2015. I've been full-time PT for the last 5.5 years. Until recently, I've been able to go more full-time on Element. So I still work 1 day a week, just doing outpatient physical therapy, musculoskeletal injuries and neurological stuff. But yeah, so before that, I had done a lot of throughout my whole life. I was a kinesiology major like you were. I went to UMass Amherst.
Yeah, I went to Westfield, right next door.
Nice, right down the street, like 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a kid major, and then I had a couple strength conditioning internships along the way. Cressy Sports Performance, did some stuff with the UMass hockey team, Northeastern hockey team, or basketball team. That's really what I wanted to do. And I was also I'm just a super competitive guy myself in terms of athletic. So I dabbled in some powerlifting for a few years, competed, pulled 550, deadlift 165.
Nice.
That's my
sumo or conventional?
Conventional.
Oh, that's really
yeah. I got long arms, long legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then I just from there I just started dabbling into more functional fitness, but that was more so the influence of Element 26.
Yeah.
So yeah, strength conditioning, kinesiology, physical therapy, it all seemed to go hand in hand. And then I was, physical therapy was kind of just the icing on the cake in terms of I wanted some degree to really finalize everything and put it all
Yeah,
together.
100%. Now, long legs, long arms. What's your back squat?
It's actually, I've squatted 425. My squat's pretty good. I have good hips.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
What
my
about the
squat's pretty
bench?
good. We don't talk about the bench.
Yeah, fair
Bench.
enough.
No, I bench. I've hit like 53 with a pause.
That's good.
With a
That's
pause of the
good.
chest.
That's
Yeah.
a great number. Great number. What did you when you got in the CrossFit a little bit more into the Olympic lifting? Did you get any big numbers
Uh,
there?
no, no.
Clean and
Olympic
jerk.
lifting's still my. I
No.
actually have a session this afternoon to work on some snatch.
Oh, nice. Well, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough when you're tall. Like this, yeah, the snatch you have good levers and great hips, but it's still the bar still has to travel a long way. Like
Yeah.
you can only
No.
you can only make up for how long that bar has to travel so much with speed and power and things like that.
Exactly. That's just my excuse. Long arms, long legs.
100%. How did you do? How did you do when you were powerlifting? Was that
Hmm.
strictly regimented powerlifting? Like how deep into the sport did you get? Because
Oh,
I have a few
I was
friends
pretty
that
deep.
are
I was
pretty
pretty
deep.
deep.
Yeah.
I was
Like,
pretty deep. I was like, I mean, I did this. I went pretty hard from like, say I had a buddy who was coaching me from like 2011 to basically 2016, and it was pretty much like I trained like 5 days a week, like when I could. You
yeah,
generally 5 days a week, and you throw some Olympic lifts in the beginning just to have some other movement variability going on, and then you have like you periodize your bench, your squat, your deadlift, your accessories. You have all that stuff. Like some of the sessions take like 2.5 hours.
oh yeah, yeah.
Like it was pretty legit. Now I'm doing kind of a similar thing. I'm trying to get back to that kind of because
Yeah,
I have more time. But it's more I guess well-rounded. There's a lot more aerobic and anaerobic systems at play. We're targeting specifically with this programming, and then there's some strength too,
yeah,
obviously.
100%. What do you
Mhm.
when it comes to your aerobic stuff or what you fill in? Like you said, you still add in like pieces of CrossFit and functional fitness into your own training. What is
Yeah.
some of
So I
your
mean,
wheelhouse stuff? You're probably pretty good on the rower, I would
wheelhouse.
imagine.
Actually, I'm good. Anaerobic is my jam. Like I'm not the best, but like for me compared to my other stuff, it's like give me like to 5 to 10 minutes to hit it pretty hard, and I can hit it pretty hard.
Yeah,
Give me any more than that, like my body's never been like a long-term like
yeah,
aerobic system. So we are working on that. We're doing a lot of zone 2 training, which is,
yeah,
for me, heart rate like 110 to 130. Even if it's just walking, just trying to build up that tolerance
yeah.
and doing that for maybe like 15, 20 minutes, depending on the session, putting it in there. Um,
Well, it sounds good because we're the
yeah.
same athletes. For me,
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
I'm a 0 to like, I'm a Corvette, like 0 to 60, right? And give me like 3-minute AMRAPs, like go 3,
Yeah.
rest 3, or like AMRAP 10 this morning, hit it as hard as I
Yeah.
can and just like pass out afterwards. But then
Hmm.
give me like kind of like a 20-ish minute workout, that fifth, like that 12 to 20 or that 12 to
Hmm.
25, and it starts to get a
Exactly.
little shaky in the backside. The
No, it
backside of that
definitely, it
workout
definitely
looks
does,
rough.
man.
Yeah, 100%. How do you know how I have a great question just as a physical therapist and someone that studied
Yeah.
kinesiology. How do you
Hmm.
you said you kind of find yourself at a little bit of an advantage when it comes to training or just also, I mean, probably knowing products as well, just knowing how the
Yeah.
body works. Can you speak on that
Hmm.
a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. No, in terms of just working with I mean, I've always loved movement. I've always loved watching people move. Like that's something I just appreciate. And I just, whether someone says it's bad or it's good form, it's just movement. I just see things as movement, and I
Yeah.
see things like, okay, we can do better here. We can, some things are a little off here, but um, it's just something I've always been fascinated with. And I think there's always something that can be improved upon just to make someone move better, perform better within that movement.
Yeah.
Anything specific that you really want me to touch on in terms
No,
of like?
like for me, for me, I talk to everyone. I did a great podcast a few weeks back with Tim Shaw, who's a physical therapist, manual therapist. And we talked about how just the body's an incredible machine. So being in the space of, I mean, even for you, you're just selling product or being in physical therapy or coaching that I'm in, we just like watching the body do great things. And then how can we help adapt it, right? Using products, or how can we help coach you to move better, things like that. Just because all those little things each day people can take away and can help them increase their performance, right? Because at the end of the day, it's, I mean, people don't want to talk about like, we're just all shooting for performance, but that's really what we're doing. Like everyone wants to go 10 pounds heavier on their deadlift, or everyone wants to, everyone in CrossFit wants to go to the games like Sam. And like, that's what we all strive for, even if we're we're sore and we're just taking.
Oh, of course.
But we all want to get better, and we all want to like improve our performance at the end of the day. So it's pretty cool.
We want our best self. We want our best self to come out.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, for me, I guess the advantage really comes with understanding the movement of certain things and what looks pretty, and then what needs to be worked upon, and how do we take that movement, break it down into smaller increments, or break it down into segments and improve each segment to build up the entire picture, or to build out the entire picture.
Yeah. You can't do the whole painting in one session, right? You can only go.
Exactly. So it's like, snatch, you might work just from the floor, or you might work from the hang, or you might work from blocks. You got to look at what's going to give that person, what does that person have to work on, and how can you make it look even better?
Yeah, 100%.
And literally, honestly, it just comes, if you get the movement down, then you can improve the amount they're lifting, the speed they're lifting, everything in between. So it really comes down to how does it look first, and then you move from there. And that's exactly how I treat my patients too. Like, if you're a patient coming to me, I honestly look a lot of times just in movement. Like, you have back pain, let's just look at your movement. I'm like gonna I don't even really want to put my hands on you until I see kind of what's going on. Like, how extended are you? Are you, can you bend down in a decent squat position and not go on your toes? Little things like that make a big difference.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially in terms of the body and how it moves, and just how everyone's in this pain.
I found with having kind of a health and science kinesiology background, when I came into coaching, especially CrossFit coaching, I was able to see the body work in different ways. Because even my parents, for example, when I first got into CrossFit, they were like, that is just organized chaos, like complete. And I'm like, no, there's actually like a lot more, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. But being able to break down kind of human movement and understanding like how different parts of the body, how different joints, and kind of how to adapt people's different joints. Like, I was talking with Tim Shaw, he's that manual therapist, about how, for example, if you're about to do overhead squats, right, and your hamstrings are tight, right, understanding just with that simple background that I have, right, probably help you out if you just loosen up your calves and your hamstrings. You're just going to get deeper. Like, as simple as that sounds, and just like into layman's terms. But without my kind of kinesiology background, right, that's not common knowledge to the everyday, whatever you are, power lifter, CrossFitter, whatever it is. If you're just working out at Planet Fitness, right, that's not everyday knowledge. So it is cool to see how I could take, and you could take kind of our backgrounds from school and bring it into kind of our training, or even kind of our different companies, right, coaching, and then Element. I didn't notice either till a second ago, that's an Element t-shirt.
That is, yes.
Yeah,
that is.
Did you guys have some apparel?
We do. We have some apparel. Now, apparel's not our number one thing. I mean, we are going to look at launching some more apparel, but that's still not going to be our like number one focus. Or focus.
You're more of like an equipment company.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we are looking at certain manufacturers right now to see if we can produce some nice like workout appropriate clothing, shirts, and mostly maybe some shorts specifically, but we're not gonna, that's kind of on the back burner in a way. It's not like our number one focus.
It's a pretty what do they call it, liquid, I don't want to call it liquid market, but it's a big market.
My business partner would know the lingo.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Or diluted I think is the word.
Diluted
market,
saturated
where there
market.
is saturated.
Exactly.
There's a lot. You can go on Amazon, like you said, go on Amazon, type in shorts.
Everyone's got a fitness brand.
10 million pairs, 10 million different pairs.
Exactly.
Right? Very cool. Now, like I said, going into 2021, you can look out for these guys. I see them all the time. I see Element come up kind of on my feeds. And then also just people, like I said, that you follow, like I follow in the space and that other CrossFitters can follow. I mean, Sam, if you're looking up someone that is at the upper echelons kind of the sport of functional fitness, Sam Quant, he's like we talked about your guys' kind of top athlete right now. And there's a lot of other people in the space, like Lindsay, for example, that wears their stuff. Anything else for Element coming into the new year? Anything we should look out for?
Yeah. We have actually, the thing we have to really kick up and move a little fast on is just like figuring out the next product that we really want to hit. We might do like a rehab prehab kit, based on kind of what I feel is really going to help somebody. So stay on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
We're hard at work with all those things. But yeah, we're gonna go behind the scenes right after I talk with you here and into next week and really figure out kind of what that really next home run product will be.
Yeah.
And how we can always improve the next, everything else that we have, if you have any suggestions on how to improve the gear, let me know, Scott.
Yeah. 100%.
If any of your listeners have any ideas, let me know. You can always email me at phil@element26.co, or, you can just go to our webpage, which is element26.co, and literally there's going to be a pop-up and you just enter your email and you'll be connected.
That's what I was going to say next. For everyone out there listening, you can find these guys it's element26.co. That's your website.
Exactly. We don't quite own the domain yet. We're trying to.
Okay. And
so
then
it'll be .com when it happens.
Okay. And then the Instagram is just element26, correct?
Yes, element26.co. It's actually pretty easy to remember.
Awesome. And that's on Instagram. Like I said, I've seen you guys. I see all your stuff through Instagram. You guys are constantly out there marketing through Instagram too. So look them up, guys. See their products. I mean, like I said, I have multiple people here at the gym that I wear the belt. I mean, I just coach people that were wearing the belt and the sleeves. So the product's out there. It works great. Thanks, Phil, for coming on. I mean, I love talking to different people in the space. Like I said, we've had strength and conditioning coaches. We've had CrossFit coaches. We've had physical therapists on. We've had professors on, things like that. So it's awesome to hear kind of from like a brand inside the space and kind of your guys' niche inside of our little space.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.